She was a severe alcoholic. Now, as we know, men, how many men have I recorded on my channel alone talking about how afraid they are when they are abused by a woman to turn in? See, it's not just being ostracized and blown off by the police. It's also everybody else. You are demasculated. You aren't a man. Men don't go to the cops. Blah, 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 blah. Well, yes, they do if they don't get what they want. And they're, well, of course, Rob, a sexist, over there at Fred Meyer's. We've got police officers who want to get on and troll and be harmful, be mean, and be cruel. Like this Grumpus Schmidt guy who's on the front cover of this video. Making false accusations is fucked up. When women told me that they were being abused, I tried to turn it in. I also tried to encourage them to turn it in. The best way to turn it in is together. When we turn it in together, I get to see, when I turn it in together with people, that something does start to happen, but then they have to follow through. When crimes are committed against me, it's impossible to get someone to go in with me. Or to make calls with me to turn these things in. But at this point, there's a lot of different places who have all claimed that it's not their job because I had to call them alone. My frustration is at the fact that I'm not treated like a human being. If I try to turn in crimes, I'm blown off. I'm treated like it doesn't matter, like I don't matter. These police officers have gone out of their way to make sure that I am victimized. To not take it seriously because they hold the same bias against the homeless and against males that you do. How dare a male ever call us unless he's a rich man, a business owner, or a manager at one of these local businesses? People who already have a hatred and disdain for the homeless and have shown it. I didn't have to hear people in McDonald's telling me that Nick didn't like me for me to know that Nick didn't like me. I can go back there if I don't record, but that's absolutely not going to happen. For my safety, I have to record. You want to pretend that it's not okay for me to record when I'm stuck in public. I'm stuck here. I'm too broke to rent a place on my own. And because of victimization in Colorado and Nebraska and elsewhere, it all builds up over the years. That same thing every time. Homeless disabled male, he's what's called a roll-through. This is nationwide, folks. It's not a joke. The only times that I went out at the very beginning and told people's names or showed their predators is when people's lives were in imminent danger. Jamie Lee Curtis wanted to let me know that her and her son were in imminent danger in Rapid City, South Dakota. And I helped them to move out. A lot of men helped to move her out. A lot of men. No woman showed up to help. Todd's wife showed up to watch. That's it. No woman showed up to help Jamie Curtis. Not a single one. When I helped Miss Jerry move on multiple occasions, how many times did Lana or Amanda lift a finger to help? They never did. The only woman in that situation was Miss Jerry. I helped. Ron Reeder helped. Andrew Buchter helped. Both of her sons helped. But no woman helped her. No woman helped her. Now we got to hear out of Rihanna Ingersoll's own mouth. She's dead now, by the way. You remember the video from Rawlins, Wyoming, where the police treated me all shitty? That was like the 5th or 6th phone call to them. 7th phone call to them from me. Well, actually, it was the first phone call from them to me. All of the phone calls prior to that was me to them, me calling them, me calling them. You get to hear how horribly I was treated, how I was talked down to. Because Rayanna lied. She admitted that she lied. But those cops, they stole my evidence under false pretenses. Went out of their way to put my evidence in jeopardy. And that is how these people have been able to control me. My evidence shows that I am the victim here, and that what I have done has been out of desperation because of neglect from my friends, neglect from my family. It doesn't matter what you did if you never spoke up about it. Talking to me about it and making me record it and post it on fucking YouTube is not the same as speaking out, you son of a bitch. When I exposed Ted Bollinger, it was because my life was in imminent danger and my friends' and family's lives were in imminent danger. I had been taking threats, harassment, and literal assaults for over a year. Why? Because we have taught girls that when they're angry, it's okay to lie about a man. If they're angry, they can call the cops and say, oh, Sean raped somebody. Or call the cops and say, oh, Jared beat on me. Or call the cops and say, oh, I'm afraid. Oh, poor me, I'm a girl. You're afraid of getting in trouble because you're abusive. Rayanna Ingersoll was abusive. No, she didn't entirely apologize for what she did, but she admitted to it. And why did she do it? Because she was mad at me. She thought I should just let her drink and beat the kids all day. Watching Bates Motel. You know, I had to record my friends because my friends weren't trustworthy. They were mouths, and I've recorded much of that since as well. The same shit. Too busy, too broke. Can't look. Any excuse. Oh, Sean, I don't want to get involved. It's too late. You're already involved, and that's the problem. You were involved. You are a witness. You are a witness that shows that the stories that I told are true. That what the police said was a lie. What the Bollinger said was a lie. They said a lot of things that were lies. And each one of you are an individual piece of that story that shows I told the truth. You're also, every single one of you, each individual parts of the story that show sexism and racism. And the fact that you don't care about homeless people. Did any of you help me the way that you would have helped a woman? No. And because I'm not a woman, men aren't going to help me like that either. Because I'm disabled, I'm easy to victimize, and everyone knows it. Including police who don't want to do their jobs, public pretenders who don't want to do their jobs. Between listening to the victim and listening to the cops, you want to believe everything the cops say. Even though you get to see time and again how they refuse to look at evidence, refuse to address the safety issues and safety concerns, refuse to investigate any crimes against me, and you repeatedly make me go back to them alone. You are pieces of shit. When it goes to false accusations, you know, I'd like to know for certain that this person is a child molester. When you tell me somebody molested you, the first thing I do is try to tell the cops, try to tell my friends. That's what needs to be done. Looking the other way is fucking disgusting. You talk about how if you live next door to a rapist, how you'd kill him and stuff like that. But when somebody tells you that they're being raped or molested in your town and they want help turning it in, the first thing that goes through your head is, oh, am I friends with them? All women in this country are taught to be gaslighters. All of them. They're all taught that they can slander your name. They can go around to your friends and family and slander your name to them, resulting in you being harmed physically, financially, mentally. It affects your housing. It affects your ability to keep and maintain friendships. Because of slander, you don't stop to think about how horrible committing these acts against somebody really are when they're committed against a man. You get to see the tactics of blowing off a victim, of sending us around in circles, calling that help. No, what they've shown is bias. That's what all of my friends showed too. Bias. Even the ones who knew I was telling the truth. Why didn't they come forward? They were afraid of becoming targets of that bias themselves. They deserve it for allowing an innocent man to be harmed, for not coming forward about what they knew, for being selfish. I told the truth because it's the only way to stop this. Forcing a disabled adult who is targeted to go public about being targeted and threatened, harassed, intimidated, and assaulted. It's just wrong. You get to see how many people get on my site, on my on my YouTube and on my Facebook, slander my name and try to destroy evidence. How many people have promised to help, but what did they do? They dragged their feet. What am I supposed to do as an at-risk and disabled adult? I'm supposed to go to a friend or family member. There's a whole bunch of people said, oh, Sean, I believe you, I believe you, I believe you. Then help me to turn it in. Oh, Sean, they won't listen, they won't listen. Really? How do you know? Well, I had to go in alone one time. Yeah, that's right, you went in alone. That's the problem. When I try to send the evidence, they pretend they can't see it. It has to go through someone else. I have to send it to someone else to have it sent in. Meanwhile, I have to be afraid everywhere I go because I will be victimized for being homeless. I will be victimized for being disabled. The police will take part in it. And if I try to turn in the police, they'll take me to the hospital and just tell them I'm nuts. The fact that I was assaulted at the Tillamook Hospital after police in here committed felonies shows that I can't go to the police to turn in that assault. Even with someone there, it's dangerous. When you ask me to send this stuff across the computer, you don't stop to consider the safety risks for me of having to go to a Fred Meyer's or a Starbucks or a McDonald's to try to do this. How loud the environment is. Or how easy it is to get kicked out of a fucking library for talking about rape and murder, which is the stuff that I have to talk about. I get told it's not appropriate for public. Well, people come and sit next to me and talk about that shit in public. You don't stop to consider the hell that a man has gone through. You have already assumed his guilt. I didn't go running around making baseless accusations about people. When it came to Natalie Bollinger and exposing her and her dad and Tim Beeson and Ted Bollinger, that's her dad, Ted Bollinger, and exposing Maddie Boa and Alicia Bollinger, yes, I definitely threatened to retaliate, and I did retaliate. When law enforcement didn't care, and my friends didn't care, because they're sexist, because they're racist. Friends of mine letting this happen to me because they're only willing to fight for the LGBTQ community. Oh, they're the only ones that matter. Many of my predators came from the LGBT community. Only the Me Too movement. Oh, you mean man-hating and man-bashing and blaming men. You let people hurt me until I wanted to die, and then you punish me for wanting to die. What useless pieces of shit you really are. In years and years of this harassment, not just on YouTube and on Facebook, but in real life, and me recording it in real life, and on Facebook, and on YouTube, not a single one of you has helped to turn it in because you're all pieces of shit. You're all sexist. Every single one of you shows that. Every one of you who does not try to turn this in and record it and speak out shows how sexist you are. You want me to just take your word for it? Well, that's why they won't listen to me. They just pretend that I made it up, or that I made you up, or that little piece of paper that you signed your name and number to, that I made that up. Because you didn't go in with me. They get to pretend. And I get people who harass me and say, oh, that's hearsay. It's only hearsay if it's not recorded. It's not hearsay. People telling me that they were threatened is hearsay. But if I have evidence that a lot of people were threatening to kill me and my friends and family, and that my friends and family were telling me people were threatening to kill them, then that is not hearsay, because it's not just my words. It is with their own words, from their own accounts, from their own numbers, you pieces of shit. But I didn't have help doing that. People would only help if I paid them mass quantities of money I didn't have to spend. The help that I got, people still throw the GoFundMes. These GoFundMes that I apparently used to rip people off for tens of thousands of dollars. No, that was Ted Bollinger. Got over $20,000 from his GoFundMes. What did I get? Cops went over and fucking threatened and harassed Candace Bondurant while I was at her house because she was going to help me. And what did she do? She turned chicken and ran. When I let her know people were hurting me and treating me like I was a liar, like I made it up, that she did a horrible thing. She wanted to play victim. And as soon as she started playing victim, I started cursing. You goddamn right I did. Then she wants to pretend that she's a victim because I curse. That doesn't make you a fucking victim, stupid. You don't think I'm a victim when people curse at me, or when they threaten to kill me. You don't give two shits because you're selfish. Do not ask a woman for help in this country. And my recommendation is do not help a woman. Let her son starve to death. Let him starve to death. She's only manipulating you so she can save money for more methamphetamines. She will get her child taken by the state, which is what needs to happen. And hopefully they get a good foster home. And hopefully the state doesn't run that child through the system in a temporary foster care system. Only 2 weeks per foster home. You don't get to visit the same one twice. But because your mom keeps pretending like she'll get off the meth or off of the cocaine, they'll keep telling you, oh, you can see your mom this weekend. Your mom's coming to visit you this weekend. Your mom's coming to pick you up and take you home this weekend. And she never shows up. Some of those foster homes are good. Some of them are very, very, very bad. And when you're stuck in the temporary foster home, none of them are good because none of them are long-term. You don't get to establish friends or friendships or lasting relationships. And you have to be afraid when you get to a foster home with nice, fast foster family that you've only got 14 days, 13 and a half, before you might be sent to another place where you're going to get raped by either the other foster kids or by one of the foster parents. But yeah, dudes can't be victims because they got dicks. You don't like the way that I reacted. You say I should have reacted differently. And then you tell me how I reacted to begin with. You tell me to react that way. That's how I started. I started off going to the cops. I started off asking my predators to stop. I started off going to my friends and family for help. And after over a year of them blowing me off, changing the subject and having me jump through expensive hoops, not a goddamn one of them lifted a fucking finger to help me turn it in. Now they want it to be hidden that I went to them for help. And they did what women do to a man and men do to a man who is victimized, who is homeless, who has no real loved ones. You assume that the state is going to help me because I'm disabled? No, all they do is victimize us. They refuse to look at evidence. They force me into a situation where I can't possibly make these fucking phone calls in private. Where I can't go through the evidence in peace and fucking quiet without having to be afraid of a Rob or a Nick. The mental health system in America doesn't fucking suck. The people in the mental health care system fucking suck. We are denied our rights because they don't do their jobs. It's a lot fucking different. The law says they're supposed to help me. You see how many other people Waylon Lolatai assaulted. And how those body camera footage, it was that showed that wrongdoing, that shows that he was targeting homeless people. You also get to see the bias and the fact that out of the 7 people, these are just the ones that were caught on camera. Out of the 7 people that he assaulted, myself included, I was the only one that they didn't try getting the body cameras for. All I had was the hospital. You know what that allows? That allows them to sell a false narrative of what was said and what was done. Miss Jerry should have spoken up about that. Instead, she said something that hurt me greatly. When she said she didn't know any lawyers, I knew then and there I was about to be assaulted or injected with drugs. That they weren't going to allow me to make a report like they said they were. That they had not taken me to a place to make a safe report. They had taken me somewhere to have me framed as mentally ill and violent. Restricted number again. All hours of the day and night too. Those text messages as well. And then cops. They don't call from their numbers. They call from restricted numbers when they want to harm you. When they know that you are being harmed, that people are stalking you from restricted numbers. Cops will only call you from restricted numbers at that point. Or claim that they did. Claim that they did. How many of the witnesses did the police ever try to contact? They never tried to contact Chris Kurth. They never tried to contact Brandon Ratner. They never tried to contact any of the Scudders. They never tried to contact Mr. Palmer. It's a good thing I recorded it because at least it shows the truth. Falsely accusing a man of being a sexual predator destroys his life. You get to see how when women are angry, they'll throw that out there. They'll pretend that you're the abusive one when they get busted being abusive. When you try to turn them in for being abusive and the cops take you away. Rihanna Ingersoll, when we spoke to each other after the fact, she did say she was sorry. She did it because she was angry. How many of these women, that's their excuse? They claim he's a rapist or a child molester or a homosexual to make him a target, try to demasculate him because they're angry. When a woman's angry, it's okay to do these things, isn't it? And then you pretend that he's slandering your name. You pretend that you're the victim. This is inhumane, and you have held every man in America hostage. Male victims are victimized by the police. They're victimized by males. They're victimized by females. They are victimized by other victims, told they need to just shut up and go to the back of the goddamn bus. None of you are good people. You've been watching this for years, and none of you turned it in. You went out of your way to do things that you knew push people to suicide. And then after doing that, you want to play victim because I want my life to end. But you do nothing about it. You force me to act like my predators to try to get help. And you know what the sad thing about it is? Danny Francis blew me off. Caitlin Tatum blew me off. Hundreds of people blew me off until I treated them like shit. Until I was abusive to them in the same way they were abusive to me. And they didn't fucking like it. I went the legal route, but the legal route is denied to disabled homeless men. You looking away from that fact, looking away from my disabilities, looking away from evidence, and trying to make everything about you. You want to tell me a 30-minute backstory, and we've only got 25 minutes, and you were going to help me for 25 minutes, remember? I don't want to hear your fucking fantasy backstory. That's what it is. It's a fucking fantasy. It's got nothing to do with real life, and it's got nothing to do with helping me. You expect me to understand your disabilities and work around your disabilities, and if I don't, I'm a horrible person. But you go out of your way to antagonize my disabilities, to make suggestions that don't work for somebody with my disabilities. You suggest I do it alone. I make these calls alone. I set it up alone. No, you have to make the call with me, or I will be blown off, and then you'll treat me like shit because I didn't do it, even though I did. I tried. I failed because I had to do so alone. When disabled people who are homeless males come to you for help, look at the way you really treat them. Look at the only things that you react to. You think that you are in charge, that it is okay to control a man and berate him and treat him like shit. And literally the only thing that you will fucking listen to in your own fantasy mind is if we literally scream at the top of our lungs at you. You are that selfish. I don't owe it to the most selfish people on the planet to give them my entire life when they do nothing for me. What do I owe women? Nothing. I don't owe them for my life. It hasn't been a life. It has been survival and victimization and nothing else. An occasional cookie.